Let's make ukuleles levitate. Synthesizers talk back. Quiet. Theremin spin. Shooting stars shoot, and magic lamps, well, magic. I recently made a short film called Ghost Notes for the 13 Days, 13 Shorts Festival. Link in the description. Did the whole thing completely by myself in my home. I had a few kind of special effects things. I wanted to just go through how I did some of those without any outside assistance, and hopefully that's interesting, and maybe you can use some of these tricks yourself. Film starts out simple enough with a similar shot to where I'm sitting right now, just playing a little ukulele. A little bit of digital zoom there. So I think one of the most challenging things of doing everything yourself is trying to get interesting camera movement. So one trick is certainly to kind of do it in post, do some digital zooms. That's better than nothing. But I think it is also fun to try to get some real actual camera movement in where possible, even though that's pretty challenging when you're filming and acting at the same time. So first place I do that is here, where I kind of just walk off screen, and then you see the camera kind of immediately start moving. So only trick there really is a cut there. So if you look closely, you can see some tiny differences there. Obviously, start of the movement, which we want. It's a little bit of a lighting change behind the computer there, the kind of RGB lights on the monitor moving. So just cut out a little bit of the time there between when I just get off screen to when I kind of get back to the camera to start moving it. Then just moving it. That's actually doing a zoom. That lens has a zoom, and also doing a little bit of a digital zoom as well. Camera more or less where I have it right now. So kind of just get up, walk past it, and then come back and move it just on a tripod here. Zoom in as well, and there you go. So the first actual effect here is the shooting star. So once the camera moves around, we get the star kind of shooting in there. So regret to admit this is not a real shooting star. This is all kind of faked. It is in fact actually a shooting planet. So recently Jupiter was about as close to the Earth as it ever gets. So I'd taken some shots of that and decided I'd use one of those and just do a little effects on it. So this is, the original shot of Jupiter. You can kind of tell it's pretty blurry, still pretty far away from Earth, but you can kind of see the stripes there. I think you can kind of see the moons, at least a couple of the bigger moons every now and then as well. So a little fun fact there. So in the project itself, I'm just using that footage of Jupiter, putting a blur effect on it, and doing some automation of the motion. So obviously Jupiter was not moving that fast, even with the rotation of Earth, but just automating some motion in Resolve here. And the sound effect is a pretty simple effect with a synthesizer. Yeah, so I did that with the Moog grandmother here, but you could do it kind of any synthesizer that has a resonant filter. So it's really just playing the filter, got all the oscillators turned down low, and just sweep the filter. So next thing is the magic lamp itself. So this is a first of many uses of fishing line. So it's just kind of slightly shaking, moving. Looks like it's, when the star hits it. That is just, some fishing line just at the bottom dragging it. So the fishing line is pretty easy to hide, but also just the angle here is helping. So it's, looking up so we get nice framing of the lamp in the window, but also you can kind of see a bit of the base of the lamp is hidden so that you can't see the fishing line attached to it. So if we go back to our lamp, the fishing line just kind of tied to the base of the lamp here. You can see part I'm holding up here, but when it's flat against the shelf here, just kind of pull that along, get a little motion. There's our magic lamp. Then we got a little title sequence here, And then just a shot of me sleeping and waking up to the noises of ukuleles moving about. So no special effects really in the next shot, but it is the first place the score really starts to come in. So I think this is a place where if you're kind of doing a super low budget thing all by yourself, you got a little bit of musical experience, you can try writing a score yourself. Probably don't have access to a huge orchestra with, amazing players and effects, but what you do have is, fine control of syncing everything up exactly how you want it. So here, the music here is basically tracking each footstep. What in the world? So that's something, if you're doing it yourself, you can get that really great connection between the music and the visuals. I guess other things to say about the scene is the lighting. So I mostly went with the blue lighting just for kind of ghostly effects, but I think it did end up working really well. Got a nice contrast against the yellow background. That is just the color my wall is painted, so no special effects there, nothing to do. But it came out looking really nice with the contrasting colors. So the next shot is the floating ukulele scene. This was kind of the initial idea for the film, the idea of instruments coming to life and kind of doing their own thing, little like Sorcerer's Apprentice vibes. So that was kind of the initial idea I had. And, figured there's got to be some way to do it. So the main thing is just fishing line again. Seems to be hidden pretty well. Didn't have to do anything special to try to hide it. I have all of the ukuleles on the wall on little hooks already, so I was able to kind of use some of those to pivot against and just have a few of them tied up that I'm pulling from off screen, a little something like this. So I've actually only got 3 of them tied up, but some of the others kind of move as the string kind of just passes by them. So everything comes over here. Really got this big guy bass at the bottom, this smaller concert ukulele here, and then one on the other side, this guy here at the bottom. Lines for those coming over here, and just pulling them, kind of puppeteering, marionetting these things. So some of them work a little bit better than others. This one actually does a good job of actually floating. Some of the others a little heavier, more just shakes back and forth. But that is the secret of the floating ukuleles. I did have a little trouble getting the fishing line to pivot smoothly around the hooks that the ukuleles are on. So I did end up using a little bit of a bit of a water bottle. Just cut it up, and the fishing wire just moves really smoothly through one of the grooves in that. So just taped that little bit of plastic water bottle on to the hook there, and then these fishing wire moves really smoothly over that, able to get things to move pretty nicely. One on the bottom just starts shaking, then we zoom out, pan over a little bit. This is all just digital zoom here. See the one on the left on the bottom moving around, and then I think the one that came out the best is the one just above it. You can actually see kind of floating up. Couldn't quite get them all to move quite that nicely, but it's still a pretty cool effect. Next up, we got the talking synthesizer. So going up to each of the instruments, touching it here, and synthesizer gets kind of mad there. So this is just a vocoder. This used the Arturia Microfreak. Works out pretty well. You can totally do this in software as well. You basically play notes on it, speak into it, and it kind of uses your speech to modulate the sound. We're alive now. Don't touch us. We're alive now. Don't touch us. or any little melody that you want to play. Then we got the spinning theremin. So this again is a fishing line special. So just got it attached to kind of the up and down antenna that you use to control the pitch on the theremin. Just pulling that on the stand and it spins around. This one you can actually kind of see I have this digitally zoomed in, and if I undo that, you can see the man behind the curtain pulling that. So this one, the fishing line did show up a bit in this one. I actually ended up doing a bunch of work editing that out. If you saw the original version at the film festival, I had not done that yet, so you could probably, if you look closely at least, you can see the line kind of catching the light there as I pull it. But went through and kind of cloned that out here, and it's pretty hard to really see that in the final version. Then we got another quick edit here as I go from pulling the theremin to walking into frame. So just cut out a little bit of time there that it took me to get in position. Here the lighting was changing a little bit, so I actually used a crossfade here just so it's not so obvious. You can kind of see the like the keyboard on the right getting lighter and darker, but with the crossfade it just kind of happens so gradually you don't really notice that too much. And nothing too special about the actual theremin playing here. Though I am really happy with the lighting, how that came out. Love the shadow showing up on the ceiling. Very very ominous and magical there. I do have to admit that this is fake Movie Magic theremin playing. So theremin is actually surprisingly hard to, or maybe not surprising, but very hard to actually play. So I actually faked this on a synthesizer. So just playing the keyboard set up with a bunch of glide so it goes smoothly between the notes, and then kind of pitch wobble so it never really gets to a super stable position. So just play it like a normal keyboard. I think it's a pretty good approximation of a theremin sound though. Finally, we end with this seeing me sitting down, collapsing in the chair, fades to black, then switches to the same scene in the morning. Not super clear with the fade out. If I take that out, and it is almost exactly the same shot, so nothing super tricky there. I just left the tripod set up, came back in the morning, and shot it. See, there is a little weirdness. There's like some Halloween candy that showed up, but I think we're going to call that Halloween magic and not a continuity error. Then we finish off with the same kind of camera motion here. Walk off screen, cut out a little bit of dead time there, and then just moving the camera on the tripod. Then we get a little bit of a digital zoom in here and see the ukulele moving once again. The magic is real. And that's it. Just the credits play, and there we go. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully it was at least interesting. Maybe even picked up some tips you can use yourself. But that is how to make magic all by yourself. Thanks for watching.